Yeah, go for it, man. It's ready to
Cool. All right. Welcome tonight. Things that have happened since last. Going to have a look at some other matters. Obviously, Mark, some points showing overall as well. Some nice trade opportunities. One FT XRPC having this week as well of altcoins, which we'll look at. If you do have any altcoins or things that you want to look at, please comment or send it into the chat at the moment, and we shall dive. Keeping in mind, I've got a financial advice, just the TA. It's up to you to make your own decision as to where you enter or exit a price, as is everything that we share here at UTG. This is not a signals group, education group only. All right, let's get into it. So Huobi launches Bitcoin perpetual swaps with 125x leverage. That ads. Get into the chess news later on.
Let's bring up the chart. We'll skip the news. Ty's internet is a little bit on edge tonight. But anyway, first things first. Welcome to another Tuesday night. I hope everyone's doing all right amidst the this extraordinary times that we find ourselves in. But anyway, I hope all your trades are doing well, depending on what you're looking at and what time frame you're doing. A lot of guys are scalping at the moment, seeing they had a lot more time on their hands. Ty being one of them. So
Come on now. I'm,
yeah,
I make the time.
yeah. All right. But what are we all thinking? What are we all thinking? Are we thinking up, down, sideways? Where do we think this is going to end up? I know there's a lot of things for and against. To be honest,
Mm.
yeah. So
Apologies for the technical issues, everyone, as well. By the way,
yeah,
we'll scrap the news. The news wasn't meant to be.
yeah. It wasn't meant to be. To David, that's all right. For me though, I've been looking at this sort of demand zone in Discord for the last week or so. You've probably seen it on my charts. I have adjusted it a tiny bit, so it was drawn from the top of the candle. I've since moved it to the body because of that bounce. Top of the candle or the body, you would have caught that anyway, regardless of how you had it drawn. So not too bad on that one. I'll zoom in, see a little bit more. So on the 4 hour, there's a couple of bits and pieces that I've been looking at the moment. Well, I've been looking at this major Fibonacci level from swing low to high, and this obviously rising wedge, which played out pretty nicely over the last couple of weeks, to be honest, where it took a little while to play out. We're looking at about just half a month from the bottom of that wedge. But at the moment, right now, I know that's what everyone wants to see. This 23 fib level here at 6,500 is basically the level that needs to be broken on a 4 hour or a 12 hour, even a daily time frame, to sort of confirm that we're probably head up to this level of liquidity again, just here to the left. All right, so $6,505 is that number, or 6,506 if you want to get real technical about it. There is some confluence here though. We've got some edges, or some how should I call it? Some flattening of the baseline, which is in red on our Ichi, and we've had an edge to edge trade on the Ichi cloud on the 4 hour as well. This is a crucial time right now, as it was back here. All right, that I did mention that as well. This is going to be a crucial time now, where we'll see a hopefully see a market decision over the next day. I would say day, not 4 hours. Say with this volume that we're seeing as of late, I don't think anything's going to happen too quickly, to be honest. But yeah, if we close underneath this 23 and this itchy cloud resistance, we could probably expect it to come back down even to 61.10 at least, and make its decision there. But if we do break above and close above, which we have failed twice already, and looking like 3 hours left on this 4 hour candle, so we'll see how this one plays out. But if we do break above, close above, then this level of liquidity is going to be the next one. There is a level of supply just there, which I'll draw in. It is quite small though, and it is pretty insignificant. And Ty's drawing the template again.
Sorry about that.
But I'll extend it to the right. Yeah, so we have been rejected once on this level of supply. All right, so this is just the green candle here that formed our leg down out of that price zone. So yeah, at that 6,600 mark is pretty crucial. If we close above the 23 and start heading towards this supply, if we do break above that and get some closes or some wicks above that, we could probably expect to further run to 7,150. Which would put that in line with what you're thinking, Michael, down in the chat there. Up a little, then down. That could be that run up to supply, or if we break above, that could be the run up to 7,150, and eventuating to our major daily retrace of the 61. If we zoom out and I clean the chart up a little bit. Let's get some of these lines out the way. I've got two fibs drawn in. That would be a further run to that 61 retracement on the overall move down from the 10,000 mark that we saw, or from that supply right up the top of the screen there, if you can see that. 7,250 or 7,237 is that level there, and that really marries up with our daily itchy cloud resistance too. And if we pay attention to Ichimoku on the daily as well, we're actually right up against that daily baseline there also. So yeah, there is a lot of different TA that's saying exactly the same thing. All right, so being itchy on the 4 hour as well. Our levels of supplies on the 4 hour time frame, levels of supplies on the daily, which would be situated around this area here if we were drawing it in on the daily. The volume's not too great, so I've drawn it in on the 4 hour instead. But yeah, there's a lot of different forms of TA saying the same thing. We need to wait and see if we break above this 6.5 level, close above it, close above this baseline, get more towards this supply zone before we can safely say we can head up to the 715 or even towards this itchy cloud tie, I think. So that would be what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah, and if we put our volume profile on ads, which we've been using so much as of late as well, we look towards our point of control, 6648. I've sort of got something a little bit different on my, I'm probably using a different exchange. Yeah, I'm using the Binance exchange.
Okay,
I've just popped it in the chat there as well. So that was a chart that we posted earlier on today. And keeping in mind, I want to go over a couple of things as well. This shape we see so often with these volume profiles. So we've got these high volume nodes up here towards this point of control. As we sort of know, price tends to gravitate back towards the point of control after we gap up from this low volume area that we've got here. So definitely looking at between sort of 6.6 to sort of 6.8 at this point, which is where the sort of the liquidity starts to dry up a little bit. If we look at our 200 EMA, that's up at around the 772 sort of mark. Admittedly, I've said this today, I'm sort of looking for shorts around this area here. We did tap into this liquidity a little bit this morning with that wick, and as we started to retrace down this afternoon, I thought that might have been a potential for us to start gapping back down towards 6.2, but it hasn't really presented it that way. The only thing, and I agree with ads, is that the volume is dying off a little bit here. and we are starting to get a little bit of hidden bearish divergence on our stock. So I'd agree with Michael and Ads in the sense that we might go up a little bit higher before a short option. But one thing you've got to be really careful is when many eyes are looking at the same thing, the whales are looking at it too. And that's when stop hunts start to happen. So we get this short squeeze, or we get this squeeze where everybody's short, and then we have this big wick up to maybe 7.2, 7.3 in this crazy random candle, and then a move back down. So as we sort of said many times, I'm often happy to wait on the higher timeframes for a little bit more of a confluence, or a confirmation rather, of a move to the downside than trying to chase anything too much. But thankfully, we shared this inside the inner circle this week. And as a lot of you guys already know, I've been spending a lot of time scalping as of late. And we were fortunate enough to sort of get this move around the 6,000 mark. I've just shared another one there for your Ads. And one thing that we talk about a lot inside the inner circle, and we publish an article. Our Wyckoff article is very extensive. I dare say it's probably one of the best Wyckoff articles on the net. If I'm being a little bit biased, we've got videos and guides there on how to spot Wyckoff or accumulation phases. And I was on the 5-minute yesterday, and I said to our guys, I said, hey, this looks a little bit sort of accumulation-ish, and this was my entry point here where I bumped into a position. But we look at our selling climax, our automatic reaction, our last points of support, our signs of strength, and then our build up and our last points of supply here before a break to the upside. So we were fortunate enough to get that. But what I was saying to Ads is that stepping back and looking at these small time frames has on the higher time frames, you've got a little bit more room for error, or a little bit more room for crazy wicks or moves where you can exit a position without losing too much. On the lower time frames, you're forced to reassess everything that you know about trading, because things move so quick, and you are bound by a trading plan on the 5-minute time frames or the 15-minute time frame. So a little bit of a long story short, we're going to go over this on our scalping session on Friday night. But for anybody that wants to have a go at the smaller timeframes, I feel like in the last week and a half, 2 weeks that I've been diving very deep into the smaller timeframes, it's allowed me to probably not be so emotional on the higher timeframes, because I know I've got a much more of a buffer to play around, and it's forced me to journal more and to look at my strategies a little bit more. So I feel like I'm a little bit off track here, but for anybody that's interested in scalping, you can DM me or message me inside Discord. I'm happy to run you through a few things. But it's interesting when you start trading on different time frames and applying some of the strategies to these various quick moves, how well they can be applied to the higher time frame. So it's been a good week so far this week because of that. So I don't know how I got way off track like that, but definitely looking for sort of 6.6 to 6.8 at the moment, a potential wick up to 7, and that's where I'm looking for short positions.
Yeah, not a bad plan. Not a bad plan, considering the market sentiment and the entire sentiment throughout every single market at the moment. So
totally,
yeah. Let me squeeze that down a little bit. So yeah, getting a bit cluttered there. But that's what we're seeing on BTC. So honestly, being a crucial time, even on the 4-hour, as you could probably notice that it's running a little bit out of steam at the moment, butting up against that itchy cloud resistance and that supply. So if we do bust up and get a little bit of a run to this sort of area here, it's going to be a difficult one, and there's not a volume. There's not a lot of volume to sustain any sort of upwards thrusts to 8,000 at this stage.
Yeah, and if if we look at the structure of a market cycle, or these Wyckoff schematics, as Wyckoff put it, if that was an accumulation from 6, even on the smaller time frames, and we've had our markups, we're then looking for levels of distribution before a potential rundown. So I dare say if we start ranging a little bit around that 6.6, 6.8 mark, and we run sideways a little bit, like what we've seen here after a bit of a markup from here, we could see something very similar again before we drop back down. So I really want to see what happens around that point, the sort of 6.6 to 6.8, like I said. I'll probably take a few short positions around there with some pretty tight-ish stops, and just small capital playing on that, just try and catch an impending sort of move. And you could certainly do the same thing if you like. Don't follow my trading strategy, but yeah, and I think if we break above 6.6 and close above confidently, then I would be pretty happy to look at any sort of potential longs up to around the 7K mark.
If I was giving any sort of advice, and
whoa, let's not say the A word.
Not say the A word, but if you're scalping and you're trading this market at the moment, just keep it to a lower time frame. Keep it to keep the stop losses a little tighter than usual, and play yourself as safe as possible. If you're trading on spot, if you're trading on Binance, sweet. Turn it up to 4-hour daily and let it ride, and give yourself as much room as possible to, because obviously 6,000 for BTC, that's pretty cheap anyway. We're at 3,000 not long ago, so we've nearly done 100% since 3,000, or 3.8. So just keep that in mind. It's just if you're trading BitMEX, just keep it on a lower time frame. Keep in and out in a day, and keep your stops where they need to be.
Yeah, and obviously there is not a single person on this stream right now or in this session or really in the world who isn't being impacted by what's going on with all this crap going on at the moment. If you are quarantined at home, as I am, and as Ads is, as everybody else is, without the exception of going to work, if you have the ability to get up a little bit earlier or to dedicate a little bit more time to something, don't waste the time that you have at home sat in front of the TV watching dumb shit or sitting on YouTube. Use this time to learn and to better yourself and make the most of this time that you have at home. Like, let's look at the positives of being quarantined. This is not only is it a curse, but it's also a little bit of a gift. You now have the opportunity if you work in an office environment, people breathing down your neck, or people to I don't know, to answer to, I suppose. Don't waste the time that you have at home not learning a new skill or bettering yourself in some sort of way. I've tapered my wake up time to 3:30 in the morning so I can spend the first few hours of my day running through my morning routine, but also sitting and watching YouTube videos of traders better than me explaining certain strategies, or just sitting in front of the charts all day, just watching things play out without putting a single trade on, and documenting and journaling. And for people that are facing the really unfortunate future of losing your job or being financially impacted, we keep saying this: trading is the most phenomenal opportunity that this generation has seen to generate wealth.
Yeah.
It's an incredible opportunity with very limited entry barriers. It doesn't discriminate man, woman, white, brown, Chinese, African, Australian, American. It doesn't matter where you are from. You have the opportunity to generate phenomenal wealth. So don't waste this opportunity. I cannot stress that enough. This financial situation that we're in is going to be the most phenomenal transference of wealth we will ever witness in a generation in our lifetime. So don't get left behind to go and watch fucking Married at First Sight or something like that, like I did last night. I kicked myself. It's such a train wreck, but God, it's entertaining. Don't be like me. All right, let's get on with it, Ads. That's me done.
All right. Why don't we dial it over to Ethereum time? We can talk about Married at First Sight later.
Oh, did you see how she dumped that Steve guy last night?
Honestly, I didn't see any of it.
As if you did, and we were talking about it last night. You were texting me as it
No way, man. That did not happen.
Oh, what a train wreck. I love it.
Far out.
All right, let's get into it. FUSD. I haven't been putting too much emphasis on the BTC pairs, but FBTC has made a nice little run lately, which we'll get into in just a second. Similar structure here on ETHADS.
Yes, absolutely similar structure, and I'm seeing a little bit of this at the moment. If I draw that correctly, just give me a sec.
Yes, this triangle formation. Yeah.
Whether or not that,
Probably
whether or
also
not
go
that
like this
happens.
too, ads.
Yeah, right. I could see that too.
Yeah,
Trend lines are so objective, man.
they are totally.
But anyway, honestly, Ethereum's in the same boat where it has zero volume, so it could break. It could break either way, to be honest.
Yeah.
The next relevant supply zone, if we had to mark that out, is $193. So we are sitting at 132. That difference is 50% away to our next level of supply if we were to get back up, and then we're looking at more percentage difference if we look at the preceding ones coming back up to where we fell from. Where was it from in February last month? So whether or not Ethereum breaks out and starts moving in a direction is one thing, or it just moves sideways and completely doesn't even care about this formation ending, and it just continues sideways. It's probably what's going to happen. Because that happened to BTC initially when we had that rising wedge. All it did is just waltz straight through it, and it didn't make a decision for another week or so. But there is significant levels of risk for and against Ethereum right now, whether we break down and we retest some of these levels that we saw previously, where we've got these levels of demand. So it's just as easy for Ethereum to waltz come back down to $1.06 and even around the $90 mark, which I don't think's entirely possible right now with the level of volume that we've got. But $106 for an Ethereum, I think that's entirely possible again on the daily time frame anyway. So yeah, it's going to be, it's again like BTC, make or break. Whether or not this formation plays out and continues downwards, or we break to the upwards level and continue up. But we've had decent level of selling pressure with a lot of these wicks to the upside, and then every time that we've tried to make another move to the upside, we have been wicked down or smacked down and made a lower high. So yeah, at the moment it is descending still from this move down. Yeah, $106 is well on the cards if we break lower. But looking like this daily candle's not moving much at all. So see how we go on Ethereum. If you're looking at the smaller time frames, however, there is money to be made. You've got a few trades in there from these levels there's some levels of supply there, moving across where you could have gone long, selling on this resistance, coming back down. So there's a lot of money to be made on the lower time frames tie on Ethereum. So yeah, as we waltz sideways on the higher time frames.
Yeah, I feel we are very close to a decision with ETH.
Yeah.
And if I were a gambling man, which of course I am because I trade crypto, I would think that ETH is potentially going to break to the upside shortly. Paul, I agree. ETH has been really well respecting TA. I found myself gravitating back towards BTC a little bit over the last few days when I was developing these 4 or 5 trading strategies. But yeah, I think if we end up breaking below 123 in the next couple of days, I could definitely see that next demand zone being respected. At the moment, it's really a coin flip, but I do feel that we're getting close to a decision, and I think it might be towards the upside, initially back towards that 155 mark, 175, and then maybe up towards 199 as Ad sort of said. So a little bit of a no trade zone right now. I guess you've got to rely on your own TA and your indicators, and as I sort of said, you can see it this way as this sort of triangle structure or this triangle structure. Obviously this level is what we're looking for if we're taking the width of that triangle. So it's a tricky one, but I think return wise, if things start to pump, we've got to remember as well, we're in the middle of a financial meltdown right now. yes, all this quantitative easing is taking place, and the Burr machine is going over in the US, and the US dollar is going up, which is really unusual. I don't think the decoupling has taken place as of yet, and I don't think we're immune from global events when it comes to cryptocurrency and BTC just yet. We often find, I think, Real Vision Raul, I can't remember his last name, but he's a phenomenal financial trader. He's on Nuggets podcast a few weeks ago. He was on Pomp's podcast a few weeks ago, which we shared. He showed the correlation on two charts between Bitcoin and the SPX, and Bitcoin tends to lead the SPX a little bit, but they are very, very similar in structure over the last couple of years. So I don't think we're immune from more downside. I spoke to Bitcoin Jack on last Friday morning or last Friday night, I think it was, Thursday night. And he spoke about this liquidity void above us around the sort of 10K mark where price, he believes, will tend to sort of gravitate towards. And then you look at Joe, who's this BitMEX whale, Joe007 on Twitter, and he's saying that we haven't hit the lows yet, but it's it's anyone's guess at this point. This is a little bit of a no trade zone for ETH for me. But if I had to be a gambling man, I think we're going to break to the upside.
Fair call.
What does their volume profile say, ads? I actually haven't spent a great deal of time on ETH in the last few days. So we're right on our point of control. And if we look at these high volume nodes, and this is the thing here, like I said, 123 was probably a range, which is what it is here. So this kind of seems to be our range right now for ETH between these high volume nodes. So if we break up above sort of 144, 145 by the looks of it, then we can sort of see where our next volume nodes sort of lie. So yeah, we're right on our point of control right now and at our highest level of liquidity. So it could neither break nor to the upside or the downside. It could just teeter along here between these volume nodes and just sort of stick towards this point of control as it kind of has. But yeah, it's an interesting with ETH. But I'm going to put money where my mouth is and say we're going up.
Nice. That would.
I still believe we'll get a better return on ETH this year than what we will on BTC.
Yeah, so I believe that too. And your thoughts of going up is very much in line with what some of these indicators are portraying. Where we've got RSI quite low, CCI and pointing upwards, and Steamroller, our indicator, pointing towards the upside too. So it's going to be an interesting one over the next couple of days. And if we get to $200. It's a 50% move, and if I've got a whole bunch of ETH that I've bought at this level, so I'll be looking to offload some of that and make some money on it. So we'll see how we go.
Bilal, our FX slayer.
Bilal
is long on XBT.
XBT USD, so not too bad. So we go, Bilal. See how we go. All right. What are we seeing now, Ty? What do we reckon? There's not a lot of alts doing much at all. So
I'd like to look at XRP.
You'd like to look at XRP? It's going to cost you. XRP is one that I've had charted up for a little while, and these zones have not changed at all since the 12th, 11th of March, roughly around that level there when we started to move down, but. We have held this one very, very well, and that was drawn on the weekly, I believe. That's why it's so large, but I believe that's going to be where it's going to stay. So 14 cents is, I believe that's the XRP bottom for now, and I don't think that's going to be broken anytime soon. I'd like to be proven wrong with that. But 20 cents is the next target from this level to the next, which is exactly the same as Ethereum. It's a 50% move from this area. But we'll see if we can draw up some bits and pieces with this. Let's see how we look.
How good is Steamroller?
Steamroller's the best thing ever.
Woo!
Man, I hate trend lines. We'll see how we go. I don't like that at all. But anyway. With XRP, I do believe 20 cents is on the cards. And it has done it many times over and over again. Steamroller has given us the goods. Like Ty pointed out, a lot of our indicators are in the same boat, so I don't think this is going to drop at. I don't think it's going to drop back to 14 cents in a hurry. It could, not enough volume too, but there is a lot more volume on this Ty than a lot of other cryptos I can see.
100%.
20 cents is on the cards, in my opinion, for XRP. 20% away, and I do believe that'll be the case. Volume profile wise, it's probably going to be around this area here. We've seen a lot of support turn resistance with the point of control on XRP, and that point of control is 23 cents right now. That's a 34% move from here, so we'll see how we go with that one. But to the upside, I think XRP will go. And that's taking in all
I would
that
agree
data.
with that.
That's taking in all that data, not just the data that's on the screen, the entire thing. So yeah, going off this move here, yeah, absolutely, 23 cents is probably where it's going to gravitate back to. So if you bought some XRP as of late in this market meltdown, then you're probably looking for that same move towards this supply zone at around the 23-24 cent mark. That's where I would put Ripple, Ty. XRP.
Yep.
Absolutely. I just want to see what Ichi says as well. More than likely, you're going to have the same sort of confluence yet with that upper resistance level on that cloud, the red cloud there, flatlining. We're just getting stuck on that baseline. So if we can jump above that, it should be smooth sailing at least to the cloud, and we'll see how we go at this level of supply at the 20 cent mark. So a little bit of resistance in the way first, but not a whole lot of it, to be honest. It can get back up to 23 cents quite easily, I think. Being at 17 now.
I like it.
I do. There's one that someone wanted to have a look at was WAN, so we'll move on to WAN. We'll have a look at that. Let's have a look. If we're looking at this on the daily, same scenario, very similar scenario, but very little volume. We're getting stuck at around this resistance level, I think. Around that level there. We've got these touches, or that double bottom there, and then you've got a lot of wicks above that, and we're failing to wick above that, or failing to get that candle body over that as well. One is in a difficult spot, and I'd be looking for closes above that resistance level before we even think about getting back up to the 2400 sat mark on one. But that would be the target for this move coming back up. And that would be, about 27, 25%, 21%. There you go, on one. So we'll see how one does. But anyway, we'll have a look at some others. Any ones you wanted to have a look at, Ty, as well?
ADA and BNB would be good.
So ADA was one that we charted up last week, I believe. So there was a what's it called? Trend-based fib extension tool. So top, bottom, and retrace. So 1, 2, 3 to give you the Fibonacci lines moving down. All right. So we have pretty much hit the 1.618 level on that, which is performing beautifully, if I might say. And pushing above that is the 272, which we've wicked down. More than likely, it will continue up because we are seeing some form of reversal here, but it's in a critical level. If we don't hold above that wick there, this one, right, that one right there, then this is going to continue back down to the 400 sat mark, and then quite possibly to level of demand. So in a spot as well where we need to wait for some confirmation. If you're long on ADA, then have your stops in the correct spot. Use your market structure to determine where those stops should be. So there's market structure just here at the 446, and obviously some market structure under that daily wick. So we're looking for those to be held before we can say ADA is coming back up to 272.
Yeah, and if you were looking at some structure as well, I can kind of see a very familiar pattern playing out. I'll just so that's kind of maybe what we'd like to see.
Yes.
And then a breakout of this neckline. Yeah. If we're going to see some sort of bullish structure up back towards this supply zone, if not, if we get a sort of a failed, I'd probably dare say something like this. If we don't get some, we could even come as low as this, I suppose. But I think if you were long, you'd want to draw your trend line, look for a potential bounce maybe around here as low as here before we head back up again, which would sort of create this structure. But if we do break below this 168, then I dare say we'll head straight back down towards that demand.
Yeah. There is money to be made here. We're looking, I reckon that W bottom doesn't look too bad, Ty. That double bottom on that 618, that would probably be the best case scenario for ADA, I think, if we head back down towards the 618.
Yeah, I've seen that double bottom formation a lot lately.
Yeah.
So yeah, very much could be in check there. All right, let's have a look at BNB ads.
BNB was one where we charted up as well. All right, so we did have a long-lasting level of demands coming down off this big run from 12th of Feb. So it wasn't immune either. It fell from grace just like everything else, but we've got some levels that we want to really highlight. So obviously 18,000 sats, where we've got the white marker there on the right hand side, is the first level. We did have a lot of volatility off this wick, off the next one down, which hit it and ate that entire order up pretty much perfectly at 16,600 sats. All right, but I don't think that would be on the cards right now unless we see some horrific selling pressure come back into the market, but not something that I'm predicting right now. So if we are still teetering along, the level of control, I would think, yeah, there we go, perfect. But we need to find some momentum and some volume on BNB before we see some levels back here. I'd be happy to take positions along this level of demand, anywhere between these two levels for some potential moves back up, because honestly there's not enough volume to push it in either direction at the moment. So we're really coming down to saying that a lot of these cryptos are in levels of accumulation. So they're just rolling sideways, accumulating before a move in either direction, more than likely to the upside and towards some sort of recovery.
And just very quickly there as well, ads. Can you draw your? Can you just go to your line chart just here as well? Yep. So something that you probably could have spotted too as well is a little bit of divergence there before this move to the upside. So looking at structure of the of BNB, that's just something that you could have looked at as well. And I know I keep harping on this, but if you want to find really phenomenal levels of horizontal and support and resistance, use this line chart. This line chart has saved me so many times in the last probably couple of months, more so where you see pricing like wick really aggressively. Like I just set my stops or I set my take profits at these line levels, and we might get wicks to the downside that are a little bit sort of crazy, but I'm happy to close at a strong horizontal level than what I am to try and catch wicks sort of thing. So just a little tip.
Just breaks out a bit of the noise and lets you see this
massively
price action a bit clearer.
Massively.
Yeah, absolutely it does.
And I'll share with the guys that are going to join me on Friday night or join us on Friday night how I use that in conjunction with a kind of a different volume profile that I don't think too many people know, that has really become a fundamental part of my scalping strategy. So I'll share that on Friday night.
With volume profile, for those who don't use it, those who don't know about it, it is a paid thing, unfortunately, on TradingView. So you'll have to have a paid TradingView account active to access that information.
I dare say once you learn how to use it and identify volume profile shapes, like these sorts of shapes that we see on volume profiles all the time, and you can adapt that into a trading profile, you will make that money back pretty quick.
Yeah. As long as you write a trading plan and stick to it.
Of course, stick to your plan and don't listen to me.
He's probably sitting in front of the couch watching maths right now.
Am not.
Let us hear the TV, bro. Moving on anyway. We'll have a look at BAT, and if you have any pairs that you want to look at, just drop them in the chat on here. But anyway, BAT in the same boat as a lot of these cryptos, a lot of these altcoins are going to be exactly the same. But BAT being one that has a little bit more extreme volatility, as you can probably see with a lot of the wickages. Honestly, with BAT, back to 2,000 sats is going to be where I would put BAT. Any other ones you want to have a look at, Ty, before we move on? Probably LTC, maybe. Go LTC. Go Bitstamp. What a surprise.
I think BAT had that announcement this week as well that it had partnered with Binance or something.
Oh, okay. Heard that.
Hence the reason why it had a little pump the other day. Something like, I don't know. It could be used as some sort of, I don't know, some sort of announcement that Binance made, and hence the reason why it had a little pump the other day.
Okay. Shows how much I pay attention to the news. But anyway, LTC's in the same boat as Ethereum, I reckon, Ty, where we've got this formation starting to happen, and that next level of supply being at $60.
LTC, I've not even looked at LTC as of late. This is really where I want to see it. Pretty much where it is now. I really want to see it break this level here, potentially gap up towards this next volume profile, being these high liquidity nodes just here.
And
that could be a potential play.
And yeah, Bilal, it could be a bear flag. It could just be an all bag flag, and we drop down to $25. Who knows? We're going off the premise that these formations are happening. We've got our volume profile much higher at the $58 mark. We've got a lot of these indicators that are bottoming out. So more than likely, there is more bias to the upside than there is to the downside. But when I say upside, it's more like a recovery or going to be something like that, where we see some resistance being met when we get to that level.
Yeah.
So not saying that we're going to break out of here and break out the champagne and say we're out of this mess, because that's not what we're saying.
You can see again Steamroller really giving a phenomenal indication there as well. Very oversold, lending into a potential entry condition there as well. So Steamroller on the daily has been phenomenal as of late.
We'll see how this plays. A lot of these cryptos and structures play out over the next week or two, but it's looking good for Steamroller in terms of the signals that it's been pushing through.
Not bad considering you get it for free.
Yeah, with Inner Circle membership, $29.99.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've been reading a lot of articles regarding the regulated markets, and a lot of people are saying the same thing, that we've been seeing some recovery on a lot of these indexes and bits and pieces as of late, and it's not time to break out the champagne.
No way.
It's more than likely going to continue down into the abyss further. So just hold on. And a lot of people that I've spoken to have missed these short-term bounces, and I'm just saying it's a complete and utter bull trap.
Totally. We're far from have to be careful the way we talk.
Dead cats don't bounce.
Yeah, you would be naive to believe that at such a horrible point in our financial history that it was that short lived.
Yeah. Um, AUD, why are you going up? Says Bilal, because mainly because the US dollar, they're printing money. They're trying to devalue their currency as much as possible.
Hashtag hyperinflation.
Yeah, so the more money they print, i.e., $3.3 trillion, they will devalue their currency very quickly, and everything will turn the opposite way in time. So you could probably see, not guaranteed, but you could quite possibly see AUD at 70 cents soon, because US is throwing 3.3 new dollars into the market.
Mm. And hopefully we don't fall into the same trap here of just continuously throwing money into the market. I'm glad with everything that's going on here in Australia as well, but we don't want to fall into that trap of any sort of inflationary, you know, results coming from all the money that we're throwing at everything at the moment.
I would, if you're talking about AUD specifically, Bilal, I don't know if there is bear or bull market that I've seen in Bilal. It's really isolated to the pairs that you're trading, and what sort of, if you're trading majors, minors, if you're trading US pairs or yen or anything like that, or euro, for example, euro pairs. It really comes down to the trend that major pair is following, and then you trickle that down into the pairs, that the minor pairs, or the crosses and stuff like that. So in terms of AUD bear market, maybe we'll see.
Mm. All right, I think that will be it for the crypto pairs.
I'll have a look at EOS. One last one.
Oh yeah, sure.
Go EOS BTC. EOS BTC. Okay. Volume profile playing out spectacularly there, Ty, for you.
Let's have a squiz. Sorry.
I know that'll get you excited.
That'll get me hard, you reckon? Love it. Yeah, so straight off our point of control. So I think this demand zone is an important place to pay attention to, ads.
I think Ty's had a couple of scotches already.
No.
Anyway,
sangria tonight.
Sangria.
Homemade sangria is phenomenal.
There's a couple of
No, Michael.
There's a couple of levels that I want to pay attention to with EOS. Let me just get rid of that level up there. But with EOS, we've eaten up this demand very significantly right now. The one at 34.88, and we're currently sitting within it at the moment. So that tells me that there's no money there at the moment. There's no money in terms of buying pressure at all. So in my opinion, getting rid of this is the course of action with EOS, because we are just continuing this trend back down to where we did bounce on the March 12th at 3160 sats, and I dare say that we could probably see it again. I would be mindful though at the same time of that level there, and I'll make it a little bit easier to see.
It's quite a nice trading range that it's been forming there since September last year. It's pretty much respected the same sort of range for quite a while.
Yeah. And it's going to be within that range that you'll probably find it at the moment. And until it breaks out of that sort of range, there EOS, there's nothing to see here unless you're trading the small time frames. But there's a whole bunch of levels to be had on the way up if we do decide to continue up. But outside of this triangle, it needs to find itself before I can safely say that we will see the recovery that we want to see on EOS. But at the moment, we're heading back down to that level of support at 3302, and failing that is demand at 3170. So I'll save that one, and we'll come back to that probably next week. Is there any others that we want to have a look at before we move on? Bearing in mind there's not a lot of alts doing anything right now. No? Alright. So moving on from there, we'll have a look at Bilal Ontology. Alright, Ontology.
Bilal with the fire tonight.
Ontology was one that I charted up the other day for my old man, actually. On the 4 hour it was, I believe. All right, so identifying this falling wedge pattern coming down, and we did break out of it. Not great, but we did sort of waltz through it, if I can call it that. There is levels that we need to pay attention to with this. So it looks like the trend could be reversing. We've had a lower low and then a higher high. Obviously looking at market structure to the left, all right, just immediately to the left, not this one up here, because that's going to be significant resistance coming up. If we bang on the fib tool and we isolate this move on its own, we've dropped back to below the 61.8, and we're currently wicking up and dropping back below it again. The volume is dismal, and it's not giving me a lot of confidence with this. Steamroller on the 4 hour has given us that cycle already completed. All right, so we've had the swing low and then the swing high, completing that cycle. If I move that out of the way, you can see that there. If we do close below the 61.8, look, it can come all the way back down to between the 78 and the 100 fib retracement. And if we draw our demand level in there, it's between the 88 and 100 retrace, and more than likely Ontology is going to get back down to where it was. Going off what I'm seeing, if it doesn't bounce at the 78, so that's the next level of interest right now at 5 at 62 sats. On Ontology. That's what I'm seeing there, Bilal. If you want to pay attention to that one. Not a problem, man. Not a problem. If there's any others, just shoot them across as we move along. Ty, any other ones you want to look at?
I think we're good, man.
I think you're good. All right. Well, we'll move on to the All Ords. So just a quick one for Out in Your Circle, guys. We have been live streaming the Tuesday night session for the last 2 weeks now. Obviously you guys don't mind because we've suspended payments so far, and we're giving everyone a fair go and giving some trials out and everything like that. So I hope you guys don't mind too much. But I have to say this before we start this. Obviously regulated markets, not financial advice. You need to seek a financial advisor for your own benefit or for your own circumstances. But
yeah, and also Adam, just quickly on on the 14-day access, just inside the chat there, ads, you can still get the 14-day access. We're probably only going to give that trial away for the next couple of weeks and then close it up for another few months. I think we're not too aggressive on trying to get new people in here, and we love the people that we've got in at the moment. So if you do want to join us, have you clicked that link, ads? Just in the chat.
Excuse me. There we go. Hang on. You've doubled up the...
Oh, my bad there.
No, that's all right. I got it. There you go.
So you can join us for 14 days. For anybody that's watching the live stream at the moment, you can come on in. We're at the end of tonight. We have our... Let's be honest, Brad, if you're watching this, you've won it. We had a BTC competition where we were giving away the full access to our inner circle. So inside the 14-day private access, what we do is we give you access to our daily BTC updates, our trading channels, and a few other channels that we have inside. But with full access, you get access to what's called UTGU, which is our UTG University, where we've got a ton of premium articles on some advanced trading strategies, all our live sessions from Tuesday nights forever, free access to our custom indicators, Unicon, Unimoku, Trendbreaker, Steamroller, a whole bunch of free indicators that we've created free just for $29 a month inside the inner circle. So if you are watching this on a live stream, you can go to unitytradinggroup.com. Up the top there, the 14-day access. It's on the home page as well if you want to come and join and do that for 14 days. I think in the next 2 weeks, we'll shut that up. This is the first and probably only time for the last little bit that we'll do a free private trial or access to the inner circle. So come on in and join it if you would like to see what happens behind the scenes. We do this every Tuesday and Thursday night inside the inner circle, and obviously we're trading all day as well and sharing some of that knowledge.
And we're always available if you need to have a chat about trading strategies, plans, everything, anything like that. So always available for any of the IC guys to reach out.
100%. All right, let's get into the reg markets. Like as Ad said, we're streaming this live, so this is not financial advice. Anything that we do provide inside the inner circle, these trading these live streams, is purely educational content only. Trade at your own risk.
Thank you for that. Okay, so with the All Ords, this was what I was referring to over the last little bit. If I bring it down to the 4A, you can probably see a little bit more. Where we've got this V-shaped, and a lot of people would call this a V-shaped recovery, and I don't think that's going to be the case. Like I said, don't crack out the red wine, and the champagne just yet, because this has got this situation that the world's facing right now is not over, and it's not going to be over for a little while. So I don't think these markets are immune to it just yet. Which is what Ty said about BTC, but the All Ords will see some more damage, and I'm pretty confident of that. So let's not jump the gun, all right, and start buying on a hope that this is going to continue, because it's got a long way to go. There's been billions upon billions of dollars taken out of this market. The All Ords, the SPX 500, even more so. So you don't have a 40% down in 2 months just to recover in 30 days, or just to recover in another 2 months. This is potentially 2 to 5 years worth of gains wiped off the book, and that's what Ty was mainly referring to. Is this is going to be a massive transfer of wealth. Because the buying opportunities are prime. A lot of these companies, like for example, your ZipPay, Afterpays, your Amazons, your eBays, a lot of these companies are still trading, and because people are home, they're trading even more. So their revenues really haven't dropped that much, if at all. So you're saying you're talking a nearly 50% reduction in stock price, but the revenues are still the same. So there is very, very good outlooks on a lot of these stocks, especially the blue chip ones. But anyway, the All Ords needs to really break out of this level here towards our level of supply at the 5,800 point mark, where we see our level of supply to really give us that recovery that everyone wants to see. But it's not, to be honest, in my opinion, it's not going to happen. We've had a week to the upside, and on today's close, we've had a descending candle of 4-5% on that one on close. So honestly, I think that's going to continue towards the downside, and if it doesn't hold this area here, if I can draw it in at some point. Where are we here? 4,800 points, 4,860 points. That's where it's probably going to find some support and trade sideways, if not come back down and test the 4,400 point mark again. SPX 500 USD is our US stock market, and a little bit more volume, as you can probably see. So the candle structure is a lot easier to read. We've got some levels of supplies on the way up, and I do entirely think this is in the exact same boat as what we were just speaking of. This is not a time where you should be jumping into stocks because we're seeing some form of movement to the upside. This could very well do exactly what BTC is doing, form a trading range, which is what I've been saying the last couple of weeks. Form a trading range, all right? And then preceding that, just ping pong around before we eventually find a bottom and start making that recovery. I don't think the recovery is going to come anytime soon, though, in my opinion. But looking at the SPX, we're looking at Steamroller being on the oversold. CCI, RSI is getting to that point as well. So a double top could be in order right here where we see these two levels, all right? And I'll draw that in on the ray if we go across at the 2640 point mark on the SPX 500. So if we do end up coming back down, you can easily draw your Fibonacci lines, and you'll probably find that these are respected to the T. All right, coming back down, looking at the 2338 to begin with. So I do think we'll see those numbers in the next couple of weeks, more than likely in the next fortnight. Moving on now, we'll have a look at the DXY. So the DXY, for those who don't know, for those on the stream, that's the US dollar index. So this is the measurement of strength for the US dollar. So what we're seeing at the moment is we've had this massive run up, basically parabolic move up from 94 points to 102. All right, and then now we're seeing that that eventual downturn that we're going to see from this printing of trillions of dollars. I think it was $1 million a minute, if I'm not wrong. I read that somewhere. More than likely, it will continue down, come up, retest some of these fib levels before a further movement down. And I do believe that we'll probably break past this 94 point barrier and then continue towards the downside. But for those interested, AUD USD will, for those watching us in Australia, I believe pretty much all of us are. This is the one you want to be looking at, because if that index does continue towards the downside, and I do believe it will, that is my opinion, AUD will see a recovery, and our indicators are getting to the point where we'll start to see that. And yeah, like I said, 70 cents could be well on the cards for AUD. So that's going to be a decent recovery, even though we are printing money as well. The RBA is printing money to fund a lot of these initiatives that the government is bringing in. The AUD could continue up, and we could have some form of recovery that we need, and so it should. So it should. That's what happens in a recession. The US dollar does continue towards the downside. It does devalue, and everything else starts to move up and starts to normalize. So we could see 70 cents, could see 80 cents in the next 12 months to 24 months. So we'll see how that plays out. Don't get me wrong, this is on a daily, so there is going to be more swings on a smaller time frame. If you're looking at the 4 hour, it is giving us a nice uptrend so far. But you'll have to play that as you see it. If you're looking at the 4 hour, there is levels that we can adhere to and pay attention to take positions on if you're trading these markets actively with a broker. So yeah, Ty, we'll have a quick look at gold and silver before I forget. Being silver a little bit stagnated now, we did have a sell signal on our steamroller indicator, and steamroller does work exceptionally well in these markets because that's what that's what they give you the most data and they move the slowest. But also our in-house supply and demand strategy works the best on these markets too. So we're looking at that very clear level to the left there, and there's another clear level just above it. So if you're taking positions on the lower level or even on the pullback, your targets are very, very well identified, well in advance. So silver looking like it might have that retrace coming back down and then potentially pushing up, and that will occur more so in the future with the devalued USD to come. Gold, and then we'll move on to euro for the last pair that we'll look at. Gold is in the exact same position. This level is quite large, so we'll nip that up for the 4-hour chart. So we're looking at that level of supply there, okay, from where we did descend from. All right, so leg down. More than likely, it's going to be in the same boat as silver, or as a lot of these other pairs that are paired against USD. As the USD does start to come down, we'll see these pairs recover, and the recovery's been pretty swift, in my opinion, for gold, where we did see a bottoming out at the 1450 mark, and then now we're sitting at 1600, and that fall was only from 1700, so we're only $99 away from a potential not full recovery, but a decent recovery on gold. So we'll see how that plays out, and I do think to the upside is the bias on gold, considering what the US is doing. And euro will be in the same boat, if I'm not wrong. We are seeing a pullback now. We'll clear the chart and get it where it needs to be. So we're looking at this level here of supply. All right, we've got this pause in the market before a descending move. All right, so that's our pivot. We've got a pivot. There we go. So the top of our pivot pretty much is calling this break in the market for euro. All right, so if we're drawing our fibs, keeping it nice and simple on this one, all right, because simple is the best strategy in my opinion. Low to high, all right. We're being rejected off our supply. Coming down, 38 is probably where it's going to find the most level of support, and we have seen that with some candle structure just to the left here. If that fails to hold, 50, 61 is probably where it's going to end up, but I do think 38 will probably hold for now in the midterm before a potential move back up to our supply zone type. This is all going off the fundamental premise of the US printing so much cash at the moment. So that's the bias right now. So Forex, obviously, if you're trading Forex, being foreign exchange, it's very, very susceptible to fundamental news and stuff that's happening around the globe. So yeah, I'm completely going off that fundamentals of the US printing that amount of money. And it has been signed off by Trump himself, so it is coming. So,
can we have a look at oil as well, Ads?
Yes, of course. Oil is one that I forgot about. Oil's best to look at on the daily, in my opinion. Still descending. They're still making it. We don't know need for it at the moment. They're still making it. They're still refining it. So it's probably going to end up even lower. So if we zoom out a little bit more, maybe on a 3-day, we can get a little bit more data. Coming back off this level here. This is how I chart, by the way. Just look at some of these pivot points from the past. So if we're looking at these levels of supplies and demands, there's a few of them on the way up. It's hard to pick. So looking at this bottom shaped here, this is probably where I would put it. In the midterm, in the immediate term, should I say, there you go. You've already pretty much come close to it on the 3-day anyway. So more than likely we'll end up at that point for oil. I was reading predictions of $15, $11 a barrel. Whether or not that's going to be the case is another thing. But I do believe that it can get to 18, not a problem. So that's where I would put it if it doesn't reverse from here. We're getting damn close to that level of demand anyway. Yeah, bullish pin bar, says Beloved. So we'll see how we play out that. this trend-based fib extension is extended, so that's of no use to us right now. We're really looking at price action and market structure. So if you're looking at the 3-day exclusively, then a recovery to $44 is probably on the cards for the macro scale. I think for a very long term hold. I think if that's not financial advice, but it will get back there eventually. Don't get me wrong, but you're going to have to zoom into the daily and see where our immediate levels are going to be. More than likely, around the $30 mark if we start to recover. But I think more downage is in order before that happens, in my opinion. $18.92 is where I would put it right now.
Jolly good. Jolly good.
Bilal says he's happy to buy it for us in his swap-free account. We might have to we'll talk about that, Bilal. We'll see what happens. But I reckon that's what I reckon on the regulated market so far. If you want to take anything away from it, just give it time. Honestly, if you take anything away from this session on the regulated stuff, give it time. Play the market structure on the higher time frames. Give it as much room as possible, because there's always going to be opportunities for you to pick up stock, pick up forex swaps, whatever you want. Pick up oil, gold, silver. There's heaps of opportunity. But this situation that the world's seeing, that we're seeing ourselves in, is not over. So take that away from this if you don't take anything else. Perfection.
Jolly good.
All right. That's what I reckon.
Very good. All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us tonight. We'll announce the winner of the BTC comp tonight or tomorrow morning. Brad, you're going to win it. But we'll see how we go. We're also going to be changing the way we do competitions and a few things a little bit more regularly inside the inner circle, and probably publicly for everyone as well. So in the next week, we'll have a brand new competition ready to go for the month of April. So a lot more giveaways and comps coming from UTG in the next little bit as well. But we're really going to change it up and want to see a little bit more of a challenge set for the people that want to win some free goodies from UTG. So thanks for being here. We'll see you on Thursday nights, and obviously we'll see you inside the inner circle if you want to come and hang out with us free for those 14 days that we posted inside the Discord, and you can find it at unitytradinggroup.com.
Easy done.
See you soon. Have a great night. Thanks for being here. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Catch you later.